The latest version of SynthMaker is available on test flight. This is version 0.1.49. I'm going to show the new features. There's some UI features. Okay, I'll open it, start a new document. And let's say we want to create a custom synth. So we go to the custom category and create a custom instrument. This will be an empty, but it will give us access here to extra components that we don't have at root level. So here you see a lot more available components. Also, they're now grouped in categories. So if we wanted to create a panel for our custom instrument, we would plug it to this yellow connector, which is a view connector. For example, we could connect a knob, or there's this new component called color that we could plug there, and then our custom instrument picks up this view component and shows it in the front panel. Now, so I'm going to call our custom instrument example synth. And now if we want to work on this panel, but we're often deeper down in the hierarchy, so we want to pin it so we can see the changes as we make them. So there's a new feature that if you select a component that has a canvas inside, you can then pin it, and it will show here on the right size. The size that it will show will be, oops, I've deleted it. Start again, custom instrument, go inside and plug here a color component, views color component. Okay, I'm going to pin it again. So to resize it, we resize it here, and it picks it over there. Now, for example, instead of a color, we could have a knob like this, and again resize it. Okay, so this version introduces modifiers, which when you have a view, if you go inside it, like a view component, a knob is a view component, like a color is a view component. Normally they have these yellow connectors. You can see the labels. The input connects to a previous one, and you connect to a next one. So you create a series of view components. So when you go inside a view component, like knob or like color, you have this connector, which is a modifier. The symbol is like a moon, and you can connect modifiers to it. So you go to the section modifiers. Need to go a bit further to the right, and for example, border. When you connect it, you see that now the knob has a border around it. Or you could do some padding, and then a border after the padding. Now the padding has a size which you can control here with this slider, and you can see the effect it has. So this is basically what modifiers do. So they modify your views. Normally you're working with them at this level, you're working with views, so you go inside only when you need to modify, to insert these modifiers like border, like corner radius, like padding, and there will be many others. Okay, so in our in our UI for our synth, we normally want to have like several knobs. I'm going to disconnect this padding and border. So to have several knobs, we would use if we'd want them to be horizontal, we'd use the H stack. Now the way the H stack works is the contents of the H stack are the second output. The first input is when you want to connect several in series. I'll show an example later on. So now we want more than one knob in a horizontal stack. Another of the new features is this drag and drop that now works from one schematic to another. Like I could go like this, and then you have a copy here. Before that wasn't working very well. Actually, from schematic to schematic it wasn't working. But even within a schematic it wasn't working very well. You can't go from one document to another yet, but that will happen soon. So let's say if we want to have two knobs horizontal, and you can see them. These would be our two horizontal knobs, like with a horizontal layout. Similar to this H stack, we have the V stack and the Z stack. V stack and Z stack. And this works in a similar way. You can see the Z stack. Oops, that's a Z stack. I wanted here a V stack. V stack. So the V stack places them vertically, and the Z stack places them one on top of the other. You can see the values there are on top. Oops, don't do this. Okay, so there's a new component that is useful for debugging or for teaching. It might become useful in the future, but might need to evolve a bit, which is this switch 4, which will allow us to switch between 4 views. So this one would come through here, through the H stack. Second one would come through the V stack. Third one would come through the Z stack. The fourth one is not plugged to anything. Okay, so let's say, for example, or here I'll show also with the color component. It's probably useful. So the color component will have inside it, again, you can apply modifiers to it, like let's say corner radius, which is currently 8. So if we plug, let's plug it directly so we see it. So that's a corner radius of 8, and this is as we increase the corner radius, you can see the corners become more rounded. So we would maybe want to have one of these rounded rectangles with a knob on top. To do that, we would use a Z stack, and but it's also useful to put it all together so that we can then copy it once we have our knob defined. We can copy it. So to combine it all, we can have a view component, which is basically a custom view, and inside the view component here is the contents of this view component. And I'm going to put the color components, maybe the same as this one, which already has the rounded rectangle. Now, to control the color in the future, there will be a panel here where you can select the color. But another way is to provide the color through this color input, which is what I'll do now. So there's a new color picker component and you see the connector is a green connector with a C. Green connectors are messages that flow around with a payload. This one will have a color as a payload, and it will set up this color view. So I'm going to change it to, I don't know, red. And that didn't update over there. Oh no, because it's not, this one is not plugged. Yeah, so this is the one we were working on. We could show, like, this could be our custom knob, and we can pin it. So that's the one there. And now on top of this, we want to have a the knob itself, and we would plug it in series, but we also need it to say what kind of stack we're using, and this is where we want Z stack, so they go on top. So input, now the contents of the Z stack go here, and now knob on top. Okay, so that's our custom knob, and we could now create a few of these. 1, 2, and let's change the color of this one to green, and another one, and this will be blue. Okay, so that's this shows, this is an example of the Z stack being used for creating your own view or control. Okay, so now these three knobs, we might want them together in some kind of stack. And now I'm good here. I'm going to leave this to select horizontal stack would come this way. Now vertical stack would go through there, and the Z stack, which here doesn't really make sense, so it will just show the top one because all the other ones will be hidden. So horizontal stack, vertical stack. This vertical stack, they're a bit too squashed, so you can, here you can change the size. Okay, so this is the basics of how you would create your own user interfaces and custom controls.